their meditations or their meditation experiences, or anything that they'd like to say, maybe that they're having trouble with, maybe, or an obstacle that they're having, or anything that they would like to say, wow, my meditation has brought me this, or something happened during the day, and oh, if I wasn't meditating, this probably would have been different, or something, noticeable change, perhaps. Anybody want to share any kind of a story? Julia.
I wanted to ask that question some time ago, but I didn't have an opportunity. I noticed when I have an opportunity to go into a retreat or meditate for a longer period of time, when I go back to my normal life, which is like 1 hour of meditation a day or 30-minute meditation a day, my mind gets so restless. I understand I become more aware of that, of what's happening in my mind, but it gets so vivid and clear what's happening in there that it's just overwhelming. And it's like sometimes I do not know what to do but just stand there and just like feel like ping pong. How do you call this?
Ping pong paddle?
Yeah, and the thoughts just beat against me, and I just don't know I don't know what to do with that. Like, is any cure for that, or you just have to stay with it until it just exists?
So are you saying that you notice that when you emerge out of a retreat into the world?
Yeah, or just like a day of meditation, when I spend more time on my meditation. So when I come back from it doesn't have to be a 10-day retreat or a month
right.
retreat.
Like you decide to go, today I'm going to do like lots of meditations today.
Yeah.
And then the next day you notice those? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for some period of time, it becomes more acute.
Yeah. When I did my very, very first retreat, it wasn't a meditation retreat per se. It was a music retreat. I went to Hollyhock. I went to Hollyhock and did this thing where we sang for 7 days, and we sang in the morning, we sang, after the breakfast, and then we sang in the middle of the day, and we sang just before supper, and we sang after supper. And we were learning all kinds of things, and we were away from like power. Not away from power, but away from city noise and city lights, right? In Gabriel Island, it's very quiet there. And and a retreat kind of like that. So we did a lot of singing. So one day we did a meditation, if you recall. We were doing a lot of subtle body things. We were like visualizing a lot of stuff and we were kind of visualizing energy moving through channels inside our body. We did that one day. Well, if you do something like sing a lot, you're generally, it doesn't have to be like this, but a lot of times is your heart, this area of your heart opens, right? And you can get a lot of prana, energy, moving into your central channel, which is one of the big goals of meditation, right? Is to get, there's so many ways to think about that. You can think of it as, oh, okay, I have my energy moving in towards my center, which really is the same as saying, okay, I'm more off of my opposites. I'm more off of the heavy extremes. I'm more balanced in the center. It's the same thing. If your energy is moving in towards your center, you actually feel like you're more balanced. So it's the same. So I sang and sang and sang, and so that has the potential to affect your subtle body, major. So I had an experience like that, and I had an experience that my heart and my subtle body woke up so much that I felt like especially in the evening when the moon was out, and I would walk by like a plant or whatever it was, and I could feel my aura going through the aura of the plant. You know, it was like I was walking in that kind of a world, right? And it was just from singing, for that was like the seventh day, and I had the mistake at that point. I didn't have like the Dharma teachings yet. I didn't realize at that point that I was a changing thing, and that wasn't going to last. And so I was like, wow, I reached this state. I reached this state, and I was going to change my name and everything.
What did you change it to?
I can't remember. It was like Spirit Walker or something. My ego just like jumped on that. I am now this thing. Right? And so, and then I returned to the world. And, you know, I didn't fix any mental afflictions that I had. I didn't fix my pride or anything like that. I just happened to have a blowout of my energy, and I could feel things. Just because you can like see spirits or feel auras doesn't mean that you're fixed. It just means that you've become more sensitive. Right? That's all it means. So how this ties into Yulia's story was, then I went from Hollyhock and began to travel on the ferries. And what I was looking at was, to me, a bunch of squirrels on acid. Like, I was like, why are they moving so fast? Right? And it seemed like their eyes were this big, and they were like, everything they were doing was a craving. They were like led by their cravings. And I was like freaked out, and I was like, whoa, like, and it was really, you know, I had, no matter what, if I wanted to eat, there was one thing I realized is, if I wanted to eat, I had to make garbage. Because on Hollyhock, it was like, it's like all natural, right? It's like, wow, I want to eat, but I gotta go buy a plastic thing with a sandwich in it. There's no way around it. So, but, right? Your mind reaches a place that relates to the world in a different way, because you spend enough time tuning into a deeper, sort of more, I would say, a more natural place, right? You're heading homeward. Like when you meditate and you spend a day, you're heading homeward, and then, you know, maybe you haven't quite reached home yet, but you made a bit of a journey, and then the world reconvenes, and then everything is magnified 100 times. So every thought that you have, everything is suddenly, you're extremely aware of it, you know? And that is quite a normal thing after like a retreat or a long day, is that switch, I guess you'd say. I remember my experience was, I knew too, when I watched everybody running around like crazy people, I knew that I would be just like that in, you know, about 3 days. I knew that I would. It's like, wow, that's how I came to the island, and in about 4 days I'll be just like them. And I knew that I was. So how you handle that thing is, you do your best to relax. You do your best to relax and realize that you can't fight it, you can't stop it. As you well know, you can't stop it. You can't just choose to just stop them, because if you try to stop them, it just makes it worse, right? And if you're prone to such thoughts as, you know, I'm a failure, or low self-esteem, or any of those kinds of thoughts that many people can have, you're also setting yourself up for feeling like you did something wrong in a retreat, or you're failing at something, because you can't stop them, when in fact you just can't stop them, right? The thoughts that we have about things, they come, right? They come. So you just think, okay, you know, my retreat worked. I went somewhere deep enough to notice this, and so you have this rejoicing that you logged in some time, and that you planted some unstoppable seeds, right, that will ripen. And then you do it again. Yeah, you do it again, and you'll, make the transition. Then you won't notice them so much anymore. But they're still there. You just become accustomed, and then you go back in, and you go back in, and then the transition will become easier and easier until the goal is that there is no transition, right? There'll be a coming. If you do enough retreat and enough meditation, the day will come when you've done your work and your heart is open enough so that you actually go back into the world and you don't feel any different. Because, right, outside world retreat, it's the world. It's the world you're in. And, we're not learning to meditate so that we can hide from the world. We're learning to meditate so that we can be in the world in a perfect and easy way. So that's great, really. Yeah, it's a sign of progress, really. Yeah. So thanks for sharing. That's a good question. Yeah. Spirit walker. Where did he go? Where was he?
Yoga trees.
Yoga trees. That was so cool for a while. Really crazy. Yeah, spiritual pride. I think of all the flavors of pride that a person can have, spiritual pride is probably the most insidious, sneakiest, most conniving, most convincing. Yeah, I can read energy. I can see auras. Yeah, I can meditate. Yeah, I know something you don't know. Yeah, right. And it's intoxicating because it seems like it's a good thing. I'm becoming this good thing. But as long as you have any kind of a specialness to it, like, what is pride, right? What is pride but putting yourself up against another person in some way, in some small way, or some big way? And there's all kinds of pride that we can have. And at the very end, when you reach your final destination, the last things that go are these tiny, tiny little bits of pride that are left. They're just, and it's all just relative to this this sense of a me, right? That I must live, I must have, and you'll notice it. These are the horrors that you will see as when you begin to get deep into your mind and meditation. You'll just simply see that prideful ego that it's just there. It's just there, and it will seem like a real heavy kind of duty monster, kind of. And it's not any different than it ever was. It's just that you're noticing it. That's all. You're just noticing it, and then you're at that point beginning the extraction of it. And before you make the extraction, it's going to put up a fight. It's going to put up some kind of fight and try and convince you all kinds of things. And one of the things that it's going to want to use is your spiritual practice. It's going to want to use your spiritual practice. Yeah, I'm doing good. John, right? Because when you reach the freedom that you so desire, which you might not even know yet what the freedom is, the sense of like Marge, right? John, right? Camille, like that is an arising idea. It's a constantly arising idea. And we have this thing where we think it's like has this essence that's gone, that's been forever, and that we're afraid to lose it. When really there's something behind all of that. There's a sense of you that's behind all of that, that this John is like springing from. That's what we're trying to get to, is where the John is springing from. So any kind of like, oh yes, you know, I, John, that's gonna have to go. It's in the way of your happiness. So we have to see it to believe it. To really believe it, you have to start to get this, oh yeah, yeah. And we can one time, I went to the Orpheum, watching an orchestra. I think I've told the story one other time in some other class. I went to an orchestra, and there was a famous cello player that came, and it was his big thing. And he was the soloist, the celloist, right? And of course, you know, I'm a musician, right? And at that time, I was really very competitive about my music, and I wanted to really be somebody, and I wanted people to think I was like some kind of hot, you know, guitar player, you know, whatever. You name it. I wanted to be famous, right? And here's this like incredibly handsome cello player in front of the whole orchestra, like just blowing everybody's mind. He looks like he's out of the, you know, the cover of a Harlequin romance. He's just like, he's a god, right? And I'm just sitting there going, and I knew that some part of my mind was like, I should be happy for this dude, right? I should be happy that he's got this. But I also knew that there's this part of me that was like hating him for being so great, right? And I had this, and this is, I'm giving you an example of what some of the kinds of things you may experience. I was meditating a lot at that time, right? Trying to deal with myself. And I witnessed this black golem thing in my heart. Like, and I saw from me, like this black streak go out and shoot at him. Like some black energy thing went out and bah! And I wanted him to miss a note. Would you just screw up one note? And I was horrified. I couldn't stop it. But there it was, and I sat there going, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? But I saw it. I was a witness to it. And then I got to work with it, right? Then I got to go, okay, clearly, there's something wrong in the funhouse. So, right?
Good walk of funhouse.
Yeah, so then you can use those things, right? You go into meditation and you think, okay, what did I want? Why did I do that? You know? And even though the black light went out, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do anything. He was too good. He was like beyond me. Like his energetic frequency was too high for someone with lowly thoughts like me to affect him. Right? So I'll go home and I think, okay, what? Okay, I want to be noticed. Why? Why do I want to be noticed? Well, I feel like a failure. Why do I feel like and you sort of follow it down, and then you can get freedom by realizing that, wow, I didn't really want him to fail. I just wanted to feel good. Wow, I'm so desperate to feel good that I will actually hurt somebody else to try and feel good. Right? And you follow these trains and you get free from that. You just recognize your own tendencies. And then you can let it go. Then you can go, I just have an owie. That's all. I'm just hurt inside. That's all. That's no big deal. I'm not evil. I just, and I need to deal with it. And then so you do your work. And that's what you're doing when you meditate, is you're You're doing your work so that you're healing your own inner pride and need to be something. And ironically, you can never be that anyway. Like the part of us that wants to be something will never be that thing. It cannot be satisfied. It is by its very nature unsatisfiable. If you attain one thing, it's happy for 3 seconds, and there's another thing in front of it. Okay, now I got to do this, right? That's why we meditate. To see those things, to hear the mantra. Like, I'll give you an example of a mantra. So, like, let's say, let's say I go get a haircut. I'll give you an example like from my past, right? What people can do to themselves. You go get a haircut or something, and you're really hoping that it's a good haircut. You're like, hope she does a good job. Hope I look good when I'm done, when she's done, right? And you're like, oh, you never know. It might go either way, right? And you pay, and you hope. And then someone says, where'd you get that haircut? That's all it takes. And then all of a sudden, there's this mantra that starts in your head. Hair looks stupid, 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 hair looks stupid. And then you walk around like that. Hair looks stupid, hair looks stupid. And then you walk into, you see somebody, you're high, you're hair looks stupid, hair looks stupid, hair looks stupid, hair looks stupid, hair looks stupid. And that is a voice that you don't hear, but is there. And it's informing you constantly about what you think you are. And it's not true. It's just born out of the need to be something that you can't actually be. And that's why learning that you're just an arising perception that you're not in control of in the moment anyways is the ultimate healer. Because you can understand where it's coming from, where your low self-esteem is coming from, where your irritation at another person is coming from. It's coming from somewhere in you. It's never the other person. It's never the other person. It's always something in your mind first. So when someone shows up to you and they irritate you, they're showing you that you have irritation. They're doing you a big favor by showing you, oh, I have irritation. I need to do something. So that's why when you progress on your path, and when you progress on your path, you see fewer and fewer and fewer irritating people. Because you're getting rid of irritating person in your head. And it can get so good that once in a while, someone will do something that will make you impatient. You'll be going, oh, awesome, I'm feeling impatient, it's amazing. It's been so long. And then you actually are grateful for whoever it was that flashed up this impatience in you so that you can deal with it. So, we're going to do 2 meditations today. We'll do a stillness meditation, and then we'll do an analysis meditation. Analysis meditation. So we'll start with a brief stillness one, and then we'll do a little bit of talk about what the analysis meditation will be, and then we'll do an analysis meditation. Yeah, that's what we'll do. So let's meditate. So stand up, actually, before we sit down again. Shake out your legs. And what a nice thing to do so that your body's ready to sit is to do a few things like this. So stand with your feet hip width apart. Bring your hands above your shoulders, right? That's nice. And then turn your pinkies towards your shoulders so that you're towards each other, so your shoulders open. And then come up onto your toes. And then bend your knees and you're sitting in a chair. Like that. And if it's too much to be on the balls of your feet, you can go down to your heels. If you can stay on the balls of your feet and then come up and then and come down. And we're going to do this 8 more times. If you want to get really like yogic fancy, you can exhale on the way down and inhale on the way up. And you can even, if you notice that your knees are like wobbly or your legs are wobbly, you can visualize that you're squeezing like a block or something between your thighs so that you're actually squeezing your legs together somewhat and you'll feel more stability. Good. Is anyone counting?
It's already there.
It was already there? Okay, one more. Okay, good. So now, one more thing. If you can do this, take your ankle and place it on your leg like so. If you can do that. And everybody looks like they can. Okay, now bring your hands above your head again and sit down again. And this time we're going to stay on the heel and we'll go 10 times. And try to go low enough so that you feel a little bit of a heat in your hip or outside of your leg. And smile while you're doing it. Everybody is anyway. Now let's change legs.
Totally cheating. I have the wall.
That's okay. Sometimes the wind is blowing for some people in the room. How many is that? 10, okay. One more thing. Now, if you can, all on heels or up under the balls of your feet. Hands up again. This time we're going to squat and hold for 10 breaths. Nice form, Wesley. I like his form. He's got good form. Got a good smile, too. All right. Now you're ready to sit down, right?
Stand straight.
You'll find that helps, things like that will help if you get some warmth happening in the hip area and the legs. So we've talked about a few of the ways or methods or objects that we can use for stillness. We've done body, we've done breath, we've done inner body, subtle body stuff. What we haven't done yet, really, is we haven't done using a holy object, using a visual of a holy being. It's a nice, also a nice way to develop your stillness. So we'll start. And I just always like to start a meditation with some kind of gong if I can. It's a beautiful way to just shift into a different zone. So listen to the sound. So take a few moments with your posture. Feel, if you're sitting, feeling the lower body like it's melting into the earth, into the surface that you're resting upon. If you're lying down, feeling like your body is lengthening and also melting into the earth. So you feel a very relaxing, grounding, downward flow of energy. If you do that nicely, what you can feel is a rebound effect of an uprising energy that is the natural echo of that. So use your next in-breath. Do a nice deep extended in-breath. Feel yourself rise from the waist up, and your crown heightens slightly. You feel this expansiveness, and then as you exhale, you keep this nice lift in the heart and the crown as the shoulders then relax and the hands relax wherever they're resting. So you take a little visual check-in now and see if there's any tension anywhere. Is your jaw holding? Are your eyebrows tense? Just relax the jaw, relax the eyebrows. Brighten up the inner body by smiling gently. It's helpful to place the tip of your tongue, just nestle it nicely and naturally, just at the roof of your mouth so that it feels like it's resting there naturally. That will go a long way in helping your jaw relax, and also with the need to swallow all the time. Will help with that. Now, begin to settle in even more by focusing on the sensation of your body breathing at the belly. It's really quite a profound practice, actually. If you can train yourself to simply stay with the feeling alone and continue to discard the mental image that is associated with the feeling, a lot can happen. So you're becoming very present, not expecting anything, just noticing. You're beginning to get your stillness happening by deciding that the object of your focus now is the physical sensation of the belly breathing, not the mental image. So losing the object here is getting carried away on, oh, this is what I look like breathing, this is what my belly looks like breathing, and thinking or pondering on the picture in your head. Let that go and continue just to feel. Using the action in the continual now to bring you into the continual now. Now let's draw our focus up further. You can imagine an elevator rising through your body as your mind draws this focus up, 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 and then comes into your head, and then comes forward, and then and lands right at the tip of your nostrils. And focus your mind now. Try to notice physical sensation as the breath passes. You're trying to become so quiet and still that you could feel the breath ruffle the hair in your nose. That takes some quietness and some focus. What it doesn't take is controlling your breath. So you let go of trying to control your breath and allow it to be. Simply noticing the sensation at the nostrils. If the mind is scattered, you can just count the breath to help the mind do something. You make it to 10, starting at 0. If you forget you're even counting, coming back, starting at 0. Be happy when you come back. Be happy with the work that you're doing. The progress of returning to your object is very worthy of your joy. Now let's pull back from here. We'll leave the breath and begin to focus on that pinpoint of diamond light. And you can visualize that as being between the eyebrows, but back, right in the center of your head. And you're beginning to focus on this pinpoint, the size of a head of a pin, radiant diamond. Tiny little diamond that is shimmering, alive, reflecting the sunlight, reflecting the brightness of your mind. And you're focusing on that place. Now we do this little trick where we were focusing on that place. Try to move into that place so that you feel like the seat of your awareness is actually right at that point. And you're looking out from there with your eyes closed, seeing with your eyes closed. Try and notice if you feel forward or if you feel back. You can even play with it a bit and move forward and move back and try and find the relaxed center. And now we're ready to call to mind a holy being. So here is where, if you have a holy teacher, if you have asked someone to be your teacher, or this is a good time to bring up their image. Or even if you haven't asked someone to be your holy teacher and you see them as your holy teacher, they're also someone that you can put up there. If you don't feel like you have a quote-unquote teacher per se, you can put up a figure from history, maybe Jesus or Mother Teresa or someone, Muhammad, someone who you see in a very high light. You could have the good fortune of having someone in your life that you see as a holy being, as a very high being. Maybe it's your mother, or your friend. But whoever they are, just think of them as your holy guide. And see them in front of you, floating in the air in front of you. And get this sense that just by thinking of them, they have arrived. And go one step further and think, well, it's not really that they've arrived, it's just that I finally noticed. They were always there, just watching you, loving you, taking care of you, waiting for you to see them so they could finally teach you. So it's very useful at this point to make this object an attractive object. It should be beautiful to look at, something that you want to look at. So make them youthful, glowing, radiant with wisdom and love. And see them, three-dimensional. Don't make them a paper cutout. And you begin to think of their good qualities, how wise they are, how much love they show to the world. And feel like you're completely safe with them. They're not going to judge you for anything that you may feel is a shortcoming in yourself. Their mind is beyond those kinds of requirements for a relationship. Their mind is only interested in loving you and your happiness. Now visualize that there's a beam of light coming from their heart. And it's coming right into your heart and filling you with golden light. And you just sit and relax, keeping your focus on them as they just love you, bless you, and light pours from them into your heart. If you find that your mind is jumping off this object, you can use your in-breath and out-breath at this point. If you need to get more active, you can, as you're inhaling, you picture them becoming more present with you. Like your inhale alights something inside of them. Which then alights something inside of you because you're connected. And on your exhale, they get brighter. So your mind has something to do with this object so that you keep interacting with it. Continuing to feel their blessing, their presence, the warmth of their love for you. Maybe you begin to feel your whole body get warmer by their presence. Your heart gets softer under their influence. And then you can do this for as long as you like. But for now, we'll bring it to a close. And you just say to them, help me be a blessing to the world, like you are. Help me love others like you do. And they come, and they shrink down in size to about the size of your thumb, and they float towards you. And you watch all this with your mind, and they rest upon your crown. You feel the warmth of them on the top of your head. And then they dissolve into light. They sink into your crown, and they do this little light dance down through your center, and they reappear inside your own heart. And you just feel the glow of them being there. Thank them for being there. And as I ring the bell, follow the sound out and just have this relaxed feeling of being still in your center with this holy presence in your heart. And then slowly opening your eyes and returning to the room. And those of you who are lying down, slowly making your way, gently making your way back to the chair. That's a very beautiful meditation to do. Because where is this being? Is this, and then when you return this being to your heart and you open your eyes, and then you can feel something there. You feel there's a difference in your presence, the way that you feel, the way you feel in your body, and there's this, you probably feel a little bit more grace, gentleness, probably, maybe. So, what happened there? Well, where is this holy being? We've been talking a lot about something, right? I mean, the idea of this object, right? That really, we don't really see this object the way that we think that we see this object. You look at an object like this, You can't see the back of it, or the bottom of it, or the top of it. But in your mind is a perfect image of this cup. But you can't actually see what you're looking at. Well, not the way that you think. All your eyeballs can really see are like a two-dimensional cutout. All you can really see is what you're looking at. And there's something in your mind that's putting it all together. And in fact, we can only really look at one thing at a time. And this is a very profound thing. Because we think that we're looking and taking in our scenery and whoever's in front of us. And we're like seeing it all at once, but we're not. It's actually impossible, and you'll notice it if you try. For instance, just take a simple object like this, what appears to be, to probably everyone in the room, is a cup, right? And try and catch it. When you look at this object, you're actually looking at all the parts and putting all those parts together as one object in your mind. Because notice, right? I mean, are there parts to the cup? There's a bottom, there's a top, right? There's a lid, there's a little band across here, you know? Try and actually see that thing all at once. Try and just like, okay, I'm looking at the whole thing at once. And see what your mind does, what your eyes do. Right? You're going all over the place. You never actually ever see this whole thing at once. And in fact, if you didn't know what a cup was, or if you've never seen an object like this before, you know, where would be the basis of this cup? How could you even see a cup? You would just be looking at something that you know, we do that all the time in our life. We look at things, we don't know what they are. There's no label for them. And right now, it looks like, well, this is a cup, and it's obviously a cup, and everyone looks at that and sees a cup. As if the cup itself has some nature of being a cup. But that is impossible, isn't it? Because if there was a nature inside of this object that was giving off cup, try and imagine that. Look at this thing and think, okay, it's emanating cup. What would that have to mean? Who, you know, is there anybody that couldn't see it as a cup? If it was a cup on its own, like glowing, I am a cup, look at me, I'm a cup. Use me, drink me, I'm a cup. I live to serve. What if a dog looked at it? A baby, right? So inside your head is a mental image of a cup. That you say cup. You could call it cupness. The quality cup is somewhere lurking in your mind stream, ready to label something that looks like this, right? And we actually think that if we walk out of the room, everybody leaves the room, that this cup will still be here. If no one's looking at this, can there be this cup here? And everyone in this room is looking at a different cup. Every person is having a different perception of this cup. And all kinds of associations. Maybe there's someone in here that thinks that Starbucks, is some kind of conglomerate evil chain. Who knows? It's hard to say. Or maybe someone's going, when I get this class is over, I'm going straight to Starbucks. When is he going to stop talking so I can get to Starbucks? Who knows? So, this cup isn't there. The cup is somewhere inside. When you leave here, you're going to take this with you. It's like we have really big wallets. We're full of the potential to see all kinds of things, and it's inside of us. The whole world is like we're full of the potential to see whatever it is we're seeing all the time. So if you happen to run across an irritating person, well, guess what has been in your wallet all day? Guess what you've been carrying around with you in your purse? Irritating person. And then it just so happens that the timing's right and some person does something or appears before you, and then out it comes, boom, irritating person. And we think it's them. Or a beautiful person. So what about that, right? I mean, that makes sense, right? I mean, it makes logical sense, doesn't it? That there has to be something inside here that gives us the ability to perceive this as a cup the way that we see it. Does it make sense? Because what if someone else looked at it and had, this is dependent upon you. This object is dependent on you to actually see it the way that you do. And furthermore, it's not even appearing the way that it appears. You're like looking at all these parts, and then in your mind you're giving it a back and a bottom. And your mind is like got this perfect cup in your mind. It's like you can't see the back of me. But your mind perceives me as a whole person. So this holy being in your stillness meditation, where is that coming from? There's something inside of you that can relate to holy being, sacred being, holy teacher, holy guide. There is no teacher that you don't make a teacher. If you see someone as, wow, you're so wise, please teach me, that's you, giving them that power. If they were holy guide, holy teacher, from their own side, giving off the essence of that, which it actually looks like, then everywhere they went, everywhere they walked, people would be like falling on their knees. Please teach me something. But that's not the way it works, is it? It's something, so when you do a meditation like that, and then you draw them into you, really, you're embracing your own like high perception. You're embracing your own high quality. And then you sit there and you feel this warmth in your heart. So everyone in the room did that. Everyone in the room had an idea, had a picture of some kind of holy being, basked in the glory of this thing that seemed to be part of your imagination. But it was all born of your perceptions, of your projections, right? And then, so somewhere in you there's holy being. Or you couldn't do that meditation. You wouldn't even you couldn't even hear those words and have them make any sense to you. And then so we all sat, and with this thing, we pulled this holy being into our heart. So then we're like all sitting around together, holy beings. And for a second, maybe for some longer than others, there's this feeling in the room. This kind of vibration of like this, it's a little more holy for a second. Because everyone's kind of recognized their own holiness for a minute. And then you can live with that in others. So that was an example of a way to still your mind, looking at an attractive object and focusing on it over and just keep continuing to bring your mind back, And if you develop enough stillness with that, you can use that last bit as an extra blessing, bring them in and quietly bring them into your heart. And recognize that really it's your own love that's there. You just ignited it. You just turned it on. So how do we use that quietness that we can develop in our mind to actually contemplate the emptiness of objects, or how can we use that stillness to then do analysis? There's a thing that is called dropping the object, and it's a tricky thing to do, and we're going to do an emptiness meditation. And the reason why I keep saying that an emptiness, the understanding the emptiness, or what isn't in the objects that you see, is the biggest healer that there is because once you truly understand that, okay, I am creating this cup moment by moment, we can then make the leap to understanding, oh, it is me. There's something inside of me that's caused me to see cup. Well, there's also something in me that's caused me to be able to see holy being, or irritating as heck person, or beautiful person, and prevent us from trying to blame the world for its qualities and thinking that there's something wrong with the world and its qualities or lack thereof, and that if I just got rid of this person, brought in this person, I would have better qualities around me. The qualities are all inside of you. And if we can get to that point, then we can understand that it's nobody's fault except our own. And then we can analyze our feelings. I'm feeling this, irritation. And then by pulling it off of the object, we're forced to then deal with the irritation within ourselves and then do another kind of analysis. Okay, well, what is this feeling exactly? It's this certain thing that's moving around in my body and I don't really like it. And I'm labeling it as irritation. And not only that, I'm so desperate for it not to be about me, I got to pick somebody else to blame this feeling on. And so it's a process of continually going backwards. It's like this process of continually pulling it back in, and seeing how it relates to you. So we develop our stillness so that we can be very calm and bring up objects in our mind that we're gonna do one of these any second now, and do this thing called drop the object. which means we're going to go through a process of understanding where this object is coming from. Oh, I'm actually projecting this object. And then realizing that freaky thing, and okay, I'm going to drop the projection. Boom. And you try and, okay, I'm not going to have this projection right now. I'm just going to see it as something else, as an object of just potential. And you stay there in your stillness with the feeling, because it's a certain feeling of going, whoa, okay, that object that I'm giving all these qualities, they're not coming from the object. Okay, I'm going to drop these qualities. I'm going to be with that it's a projection from my mind. And you hover there. You hover there as long as you can. So anyways, I just wanted to say that before we go into the meditation. So maybe stand up, shake your legs out a bit, and we'll sit back down, and we'll do this meditation. Okay. So let's begin as usual. Get comfortable and tune your mind into the sound of the bowl. Try to notice the moment the sound disappears, using that. Using that. We're going to go right into it. Hopefully, still resting on the stillness that we developed in the last meditation. If you're doing this at home and you're listening to the recording, you might want to stop the recording and actually watch your breath for a while to get still. But right now, we'll go right into it. Call to mind the face of someone that you like. Think of someone you like and see their face. So right away, this image brings to mind a pleasant feeling. You have a pleasant feeling about this face. And then we start our analysis. What is it about this image that is so pleasant from its own side? You think the face is beautiful, but is this beauty contained somewhere in the shape of the nose? Or within the pores of the skin? If that were true, everyone who saw this face would have the same feeling that I'm having about it. The idea of this beauty must be coming from my own mind. So, without my projection of pleasant or unpleasant, this object I am seeing is simply an image of the face of a certain person. But what about the recognition? The very identification of this face as belonging to a certain person. It seems like this image contains information about who this person is. I look at this face and immediately I think of a name. All sorts of other information about a person that my mind connects to this image. But none of this information could be contained within the face itself. My mind is superimposing all of that information onto this image. And even the face is just a concept of my own mind. My mind is linking together the different parts, like the eye, the nose, the mouth, and then combining them together into a whole image of a face. Really, my eye, as it travels, could never actually see a whole face all at once. It can only see fragments, shapes and colors, which the mind then labels. In actuality, there is no face out there. My eye can't even think to identify the parts of this face. For instance, the eye I'm seeing is really just a couple of circular things. The pupil, the iris. And then my mind comes along and labels that an eye. There is no eye without my mind constructing it. And even these circles are a whole idea that my mind has put together based on the fragments that my eye picks up as it moves from millisecond to millisecond. Just a speck of blue here, another speck of blue there, then a speck of black, and so on, and so on. So all that there really is out there are different specks of color and light, which my mind creates into these huge, elaborate concepts, starting from a simple shape and ending up with a person that I like. What is my eye really seeing? It is watching pictures in my mind. So with this kind of consideration, you then recognize, okay, what's there if I'm not projecting it? And then you drop the object. You stay with the stillness and try and hover. Try and float with this feeling of, well, what is it then? And if the image comes back, the face begins to reappear, the nose comes back, the eyes come back, and the face begins to form again and begin to look like it's out there again on its own. Then you back up and start again. You go through the whole process again. Well, could the beauty be in the nose? Could it be in the mouth? Am I actually really seeing a face? Could I even see a whole face at once? Without my projection of it being pleasant or unpleasant, it couldn't be unpleasant or pleasant. And you drop the object again. And try and sit with the feeling of knowing that it was coming from you the whole time. It was a face inside your mind the whole time. Arising, 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 arising and falling, arising and falling. So then when you get the hang of that, then you take someone in your life that may be bothering you, or you think that we'll do a negative experience right now. You can also do this with a positive experience where you think it's the other person. So then you think of a person in your life that is not so pleasant for you, and you see them in front of you. And this face for you is not something that makes you feel good. It gives you unpleasant sensations in your body, perhaps. You would like to get away from them or wish that they weren't around. And you go through the whole thing. Well, what am I really looking at? Could I actually see this whole person at once like it appears? If they were a cause for something negative, where is it? Is it in the nose? Is it in the sound of their voice? Is it in their actions? If it was, then everyone would have to find them irritating or some kind of negativity quality about them. So you sit with that, okay, it's coming from me. There's something in my mind, there's a picture in my mind of this person being troublesome for me. So there's troublesome in my mind, there's irritation in my mind. So in that sense, you could then drop the object in a different way by pulling your focus away from the actual object you're looking at and then turn the focus more into yourself, to the feeling that you're having. Maybe you're angry at this person. Maybe it could be so many things. But you feel it in your body. And notice that if the object returns, in other words, if that face keeps returning, no, it's them. They're causing this. Then you go back through that same proof. Well, could it really be them? Could they really be the cause? And you go through your proofs again, and you drop that object and keep trying to reverse it and coming back to the sensation you're having in your mind, in your emotional body, in your mental body, in your physical body, what the feelings are. And then wherever it is in your body, try and just be with the feeling. And then notice, well, what is this feeling? There's some part of me that's actually labeling it as unpleasant. Is it unpleasant from its own side? Could I exist that way? Could it be self-existent? Could it be not simply a projection from my mind? Could it be an unchanging thing? It's in constant flux. It's constantly changing. So then you think, well, what are the parts of this feeling? Which part of this feeling is actually negative? Could this feeling be something else? Could I label this feeling differently? So right away, you've already focused enough upon the feeling that you hopefully have forgotten totally about this person, and you've pulled it right into yourself. And then, once more, you drop the object in the sense of, okay, this feeling I'm having and the mental images that I'm having around this feeling are no different than looking at any kind of object. There's somewhere in my mind is a picture, a label, a thought that ascribes itself to this feeling. And then you drop the object. You drop that association and simply feel. And try to feel it without believing the associated thought to it. Simply thinking, no, it doesn't have to be that way. It couldn't be that way on its own. And you play with that. If the feeling returns and you start to ascribe a story to that feeling and, oh, this is why, this has to be negative. And all that comes with that story about yourself. And you drop that. And simply recognize that that is a constant mental picture somewhere in your mind being thrown onto that feeling. We're going to slowly come back from that now. And just as you're coming back, just take a second and rejoice in your efforts to try and stay with a slippery idea, and just say to yourself, if I do this enough, I can get really good at this, and it can become natural, and I will be of great benefit to the world if I can break free of my own misconceptions. May my meditation benefit all beings. And you have that kind of thing on your mind as you slowly come back, follow the sound of the bowl back. Taking your time to make your way back to your chair and your seat. So the magic moment of a meditation like that is being able to just hold that feeling of, oh my God. Is it, you know, you're like, well, like what's going on? Like what's going on in reality? What is happening? How, this is a projection? And what does that mean about this, my world? And if you can, you know, just hold that and hover there, the more that you can do that, the more that you can open up a space in your mind for the possibility of yourself really being a witness to your world as a constant arising projection. Born of seeds that you put into place a long time ago. And here's the important thing about that. If you can hover there long enough times, you can convince yourself that it's true. It's one thing that for me to say it in class. It's another thing altogether to be meditating on these things and then go, oh, it has to be true. And you have this little pop in your mind. It has to be true. The quality that must be coming from my mind. It can't be happening any other way. And you get it deep, right? And that is the true beginning of yourself being afflicted in the world ending. Because then the next question should be, okay, but why? What did I do? If it's me, what did I do that made me experience that person as unpleasant or pleasant? Really smart beings like Jesus, Lord Buddha, said things like, you reap what you sow. Things like that. You can't get something negative from something positive. You can't get something positive from something negative. So if you figure this out, well then all of a sudden, Camille was saying this at the end of last class, what's all this talk about when really all we need to do is be kind? And that's, you know, if you can actually pull that off, like if you can actually pull that off and you figure it out, okay, well, if my happiness and how I experience the world is entirely dependent upon how I treat it now, and it will ripen in the future as a beautiful world, then all I need to do is be kind. That's true. And that's easy to say. But if you can actually sit in meditation long enough to actually prove to yourself that's true, then there's something else behind your actions. There's a momentum in your mind that knows that, okay, you know, if there's a pile of cookies there, and there's 4 burnt ones on top and 1 nice one on the bottom, and there's 3 people in line, and I go in there and I go, I'm going to take the nice one for myself and leave the burnt ones for those losers who didn't get there quick enough, then you know, in your meditations, you've proven to yourself that, whoa, I can't do that. Because those are the kinds of things that have made bad things happen in my life. Right? And if someone comes up to you and says, and they're hurting and they're pain and they want your attention and you want them to go away and you don't want to give them your love, and you're like, just, no, I don't have time for you right now when you're irritating things. And you say, no. Because I've proven it to myself in meditation, I must give this person as much as I can in this moment. Because if I don't, it's going to come back. And then so, Because what are we? If our world and the we that we experience in that world is nothing but a perfectly functioning series of mental events going off, and they're real, it's happening. People are dying for real. People are getting diseases. People are being happy for real. It's really going on. It's not like it's an illusion in that way. It's illusory, but it's not, it's real. So, if that's true, then you have a direct influence on your future in the now by just choosing to be kind as best you can and not like reacting. Like when someone is irritating you, you just or yelling at you, you don't yell back, and you just try to apply what you know. Okay, yeah, they're irritating, and I wish they'd stop doing that, but my meditations have proven that it's coming from me somehow, and then that's enough. Maybe that day, and you go home. And if it's strong, then you sit down and you take that to your meditation, and you go, okay, because it might not make the feeling go away, but what you're doing with it at that time is you're using it as a path to your own freedom instead of ruminating over it and making this big messy ball in your head about and just deciding all these things about that person, and in fact, I'm going to go to work tomorrow, I'm going to tell them. I'm going to tell them, and they're going to hear me, and they're going to know that I'm right. And it just, what result could that possibly bring? Right? So it's like that. So what you can do is you can use this little catchphrase. You're looking at something and you're thinking, wow, let's use this cup. Wow, that's a cup. Or is it? Right? That's all you got to do. Just keep saying, or is it? Yes, it's a cup. But is it a cup from its own side? Or is it a cup? Yeah, it's a cup for me. Or is it? It's beautiful. Or is it? That mountain range is beautiful. Or is it? And the or is it, all the or is it is supposed to do is to just get you to think that it's not inherently beautiful from its own side. It's not inherently ugly. That part is your fault. So that's, or is it, is just to say, could it be coming from its own side? Could it be coming from its own side? And then you go through your analysis. No, it couldn't. It couldn't. So it takes just a lot of questions, and that's enough for tonight. Yay!
I need a team cheer.
A team cheer?
Or is it?
Or is it? Or is it?
Maybe you could do a song.
A
Or
song.
is it now?
You just made it up. Dean's channeling the melody.
Anything in your life like, wow, that'd be a great job to have. Or is it? Or would it? Right? And then you go through, well, yeah, if I have the virtue in my mind, it will be a great job to have, and I'll enjoy it. But if I don't, it won't be. It can't be, actually. If I don't have the thing in my mind that's going to actually label it as that. That's what the or is it, really. Yeah. Anyways.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Oh, was it good? Oh, good.
So same, everyone knows that they can get the meditation on the Three Jewels website now? Everybody knows about that? This is new to you, right? Yeah, so now what we're doing is, what Misha's doing actually, is putting it onto the Three Jewels website. And you can just go right on
The
there.
event, so you go to classes and just you can like